As I move to, discussing the GDP numbers for quarter one, just before that, another last question on GST, which is how will you ensure that you pass on the benefit to the consumers? We've seen anti-profiteering in the past, so how do you plan to tackle this? Is there a way in which the government is looking at it? How do you ensure?
At the moment, there isn't any particular mechanism that I can say I have. But I certainly am seized of the question. Also coming from many citizens themselves who are saying, it's great that you've done this, it's great that you're bringing in this kind of a drastic cut in taxes, but how will you ensure that we'll benefit from it? And how will you ensure that it's not going to disappear on the course to reach? We'll have to keep talking with industry, we'll have to nudge them, we'll have to... I'm glad in the case of the insurance sector, the public sector insurance companies have come forward to openly say that they will indeed pass the rate cuts to the citizens, those who are taking the insurance for themselves. So I'm sure the private sector would also do it in insurance, and so with other things.
You're expecting them to announce that they will pass on the benefit?
Many of them are doing it.
Couple of them have, some of them have announced. So Q1 GDP numbers are heartening 7.8%, at a time when President Trump said that, India is a dead economy. How do you react to something like that?
I may not be able to comment on, let's say, foreign head of the state commenting on it. But in India, one line which I keep repeating several times, probably even once when I met you once earlier when we chatted like this, it is the cynics within India who worry me. It is the naysayers within India who worry me. Assume somebody had said it, a head of state has said it. Building India together, and all of us together building India, are we going to carry those tales or stories or observations which somebody else says and then repeat that here, oh, so-and-so has said this, India's a dead economy, we knew it, this is happening, that's happening. India requires its citizens to be respected. They are toiling and struggling and working to build their families and their economies, their own personal family wealth and whatever. At this time when we are trying to create more opportunities, do we need the naysayers to even borrow such observations, be it as it may that it is coming from a head of state? Do we need our own people to use these expressions? It is undermining not the government, you're undermining our citizens' efforts. And a responsible opposition, I wished didn't repeat these lines, but I think it is, I would react only to what our people are saying rather than a head of state elsewhere.
No, five quarter high number, I think it gives us a lot of confidence in the Indian economy.
And also inflation coming down.
Yes.
Drastically coming down.
Yes. But it brings us to a related point, which is on the point of tariffs. Now that tariffs with the US are at 50%, what is the likely impact on the GDP going forward? There are various estimates by various sort of consultancies, from 10 basis points all the way to 100 basis points, some have predicted. Where do you see the impact really of this?
But with the reform like this, many of that should be offset.
Yes.
So it is never a situation of one fixated point. It's a dynamic situation where you're moving from one to another with newer players coming in, newer factors coming into play in this scheme of things. This one, you have the GST reforms, which is going to make people understand that they can fetch more things with the same amount of money with which they bought some amount earlier. So it is very clear that industries have been speaking about the tariff and its impact. The government has designed something for itself. We will come out with something to handhold those who are hit by the 50% tariff from the US. This has been said earlier. I've met up with the delegations when I went to Chennai in recent past few days. I have said this there and I will repeat it. Government is working.
So will they be allowed to sell in India, or how do you plan to alleviate their concerns?
No, there is a package which consists of very many different ways in which we want to help them. So we'll wait for the cabinet to clear it, but there is something coming to help them so that this tirade of the tariff is something which they can face, and also suddenly having to look for newer markets is also a challenge, but we'll have to help them out on that.
So is there a sense in the government that this could be a slightly longer haul?
We hope not, but we really can't leave our exporters high and dry saying it's going to change sooner. We will work with them.
Nirmala ji, will we also continue to buy Russian oil?
Yes, that's been made very plain and simple. Whether it is Russian oil or anything else, it's our decision to buy from the place which suits our needs, whether in terms of rates, logistics, anything. So where we buy our oil from, especially being a big ticket foreign exchange related item, where we pay so much out of our pocket, highest in terms of import, we will have to take a call which suits us best. So we will undoubtedly be buying.
Another question about, the officials of the Trump administration have been using really hurtful language against India. Saying that we are Brahmins profiteering at the expense of, ordinary Indians, or, calling the Ukraine-Russia war Modi's war, or us as Kremlin's laundromat. How do you see all this? I mean, how do you react to something like this?
Very much the same principle as I said earlier. It is one thing, it can be hurtful. It is one thing for a foreign government, head of state or an official or anybody to say all that. And the global diplomatic world is astonished that that kind of an expression is being used against India. And that will have people in the diplomatic arena to respond or to deal with. But what hurts me more is when those very expressions are being justified in India. Oh, don't you all know, don't you, I mean, you know, dirty, unwashed Indians, you don't understand what this expression means? This is how, this is explained. Who wants these explanations from Indians? Who actually wants us to know better? And who are these people explaining to us, this expression is used in this context?
Yes.
I'm outraged by that. I don't want explanations to justify that. Whether I'm going to have to deal with them, stand up and challenge them or retort is a different story.
Right.
But Indians quoting those words and telling us, oh, you dirty Indians, you don't know this colonial justification of the language that is being used against Indians, against such countries which have come out of its colony and from its empire and stood up to build its own country with its own self-confidence. And even now when we are talking about Atmanirbhar, it's not just in terms of producing everything in your country. It's also about being
self-reliance.
There is no self-respect.
Self-respect.
As much as you want everything produced in India for Atmanirbharta, you should have something of a self-respect. If somebody is saying, all of us in one voice should respond to it, rather than have a few of us justify it by saying, don't you all understand it? Are you a part of the imperialists? I'm outraged more by that.
Yeah,